What is up, guys? How is it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today's going to be a little bit of a different video from the last ones that I've been doing so far that have been dealing with the axle swap. Today we're actually going to do a video that has been kind of by popular demand, and let me get right to it. So basically what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to take off my bumper and I'm going to be installing some new bumper brackets. These are made by me and I sell them. And I've been getting asked a lot about them from that original video that I posted, kind of installing them. I had sold them before, but I kind of ran out of stock and I couldn't really make anymore because I kind of stopped working at the place where I used to make them. But not that long ago, I found a guy here locally that could make them for me. So I decided to make another batch for you guys that have been wondering about it. So again, basically what these are, it's kind of an adapter plate to be able to mount a 2017 and up bumper on your OBS, and it's completely bolt-on. And well, that's basically the reason why I'm going to be taking this bumper off. The original brackets that I made and that I installed on this bumper were weld-on, and I kind of realized that if I was gonna sell them, most guys either weren't gonna want to weld on their frame or didn't have a welder. That's why I came up with these bolt-on bumper brackets, and they are actually super easy to install. And I'll show you real quick how to install these. But first, we gotta take off this bumper. Now, if you ask me, I think these are the best looking bumpers on these trucks. I have also ran the 08 Plus bumper on them, and those look great too. I really like the way that they look, but I really like the way that these 2017 and up bumpers look. I think they look fantastic, and I can't wait to show you guys the brackets. So again, let's get right to it. First thing we're gonna do is go ahead and disconnect our fog lights on both sides, and that's just the plug. I'll go into more detail about how I hooked up my fog lights too, just in case you want to do that as well. Got that. Look at this side. There we go. So now this thing is held with, well, mine's with 3, but you can use all 4 bolts. I actually can't remember why I took out 1 bolt on each side. But basically we're gonna use our 3/4 inch impact wrench. Okay, so I don't know how well you guys actually saw down there, but we have all the bolts loose, and now we're just gonna pull the last 2 out so we can drop the bumper. Okay, and pull it out. Whew. Okay, and there we go. The bumper is out, and as you can see, these are, like I said, the brackets that I first started using. Well, the brackets that I used when I first did the swap, and they don't have the 2 holes right here so that you can use the bolts instead of welding it. And like I said, today I'm going to try and cut this out and install my new brackets, because I want to show you guys how you can do it. It's gonna be a pain but oh well, we'll go ahead and do it. Also, a few other modifications that you might want to do if you want the bumper to sit back as flush as possible is actually going to be cutting this piece right here. It was kind of like this piece of metal extended all the way out to like around right here, and that would hit basically here. So I went ahead and cut that so that the bumper could sit back a little bit more and so that it would look better. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead, get these things cut out, and we'll go from there. So here you can see a quick comparison. As you can see, the brackets that I had originally made don't have these 2 holes right there, and those 2 holes are the ones that are actually gonna mount to your frame, and they should make the whole installation a lot easier, or at least like that was the idea. I feel like I'm just stalling this because I really don't want to cut those brackets out, but like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Okay, so after a good while of grinding and cutting, we finally have the old brackets basically completely out. And let me show you. So this is basically how your brackets are gonna fit. They go over your frame, and well, I'll touch back up on this. And they're gonna mount with 2 bolts right here. Before I go any further, let me touch up on another thing. Like I said, these are adapter brackets or plates. So you basically gotta make sure that your bumper that you buy still has this original bracket. It's gonna have this one and then like another one over here. Don't worry about that one. Just make sure that it at least has these 2 right here in the center. That's what my plates use to kind of adapt the 2017 bumper to your truck. Okay guys, we ran to the store, grabbed a few extra bolts. You are gonna need quite a bit of washers to kind of fine tune your bumper. And I'll show you how to do that. But first, we're gonna throw on the new bracket. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is grab our brackets and then throw a couple of washers on the back side of it and install it on the frame. There we go. And we'll throw our washer, lock washer, and nut behind it. And there we go, we have both bolts in there. And just in case you were wondering, the washers that get sandwiched in between are to kind of take up that space between the frame and the bracket. Another thing is kind of orientation of the brackets. As you can see, the holes are offset. So on the inside of the truck, the holes will be towards the bottom of the bracket. On the outside of the truck, the holes will be towards the top. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and tighten these bolts, get this thing nice and snug, and then after that I'll see if I want to throw some weld on this side too. And there we go guys, this thing is nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. And I don't think I'm gonna throw any weld on this. I think it's good enough. But like you said, if you want to and at your own risk, you can weld a little bit right here just to kind of make this thing nice and solid. You don't have to go crazy and weld around the whole thing like I did the first time. That was a mistake. But like I said, it's an option. If you want if you want your bumper to be extra solid on there, you can throw some weld on here. And that's another thing that I'm gonna make sure, once the bumper's on, I'll grab it and kind of jerk it around. And if I feel like it's a little loose, I can still come behind the bumper, kind of behind over here, and throw a little bit of weld back there, and it'll be fine. Like I said, I'm gonna try it like this. I'm gonna leave it loose. Once we have the bumper back on, we'll be able to tell if it is or if it's not. But the next thing that I'm gonna do is actually throw some paint on both of these things, just so that they look a little bit better. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead, throw some paint on them, and we'll be good. Okay, we got these things painted. As you can see, they look great, both of them. And I got a little carried away and I sprayed the intercooler as well, which I think it looks pretty good. So that's kind of how it used to look. And that's what this part looks like. But now we're ready to throw the actual bumper back on this thing, and then I'll kind of show you from there what you gotta do. Okay, so with your first 2 bolts in place, it's gonna be kind of just trial and error, or more just trying to get it fit perfectly. And the way that I like doing it is kind of like you saw. I start with a bolt on each side, and then I go around and put the rest of the bolts in. And then I kind of center the bumper on both sides, get it centered, and then lift it up to about where I want to have it. Once it's at the place that I want to have it, I'll go back and then tighten everything. Not super tight, but get it snug enough. And then I'll come back and see if it needs to tilt forward or back. And I know it's a lot, but I'll show you what I mean here real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead, get the rest of all these bolts in, and we'll go from there. Okay, we have all 4 bolts on both sides, and now it's time to get this thing centered, level, fit perfectly. And there's a few kind of tips that I do. So obviously, like I said, I start by centering this thing. And as you can see, it sticks out a little bit past the body on both sides. And kind of what I like gauging it by is the inside edge of the bumper has to be just a little bit inside of the body, about 1/8 of an inch. And it's about the same on this side. So once you have those 2 things, I like setting my gap, and the way that I do that is by putting one of the 1/2 inch nuts in between the bumper and the body, and that gives me about the gap that I like having throughout this thing. So I'll throw one in here. This one was actually already kind of high, and I actually ended up having to pull this down in order to fit my nut in there. However, on this side, you can see that the bumper's kind of low. So when I go to tie in these bolts, the first bolt, I'll hold this up so that the nut hits the body right there. And once it's tight, we'll be able to pull that nut out. And that's basically what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna go ahead and tie in a couple bolts to be able to pull that out, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so I got this side tight, and as you can see, it looks really nice, really even all the way. And on this one, I didn't have to do anything on it actually. I snugged it up and it kind of just fell right into place perfectly even. As you can see, the gap from here to here is just about perfect. The bumper is gonna sit nice and level, and also it is solid on there, so I don't think I'm gonna throw any weld on the back of it. I think it's perfect. Now the other side is a little bit different. As you can tell, my gap on the back is bigger than my gap on the front. So the way that I like fixing that is if you're already tying everything, I'm still gonna tie in it and make sure that it falls into place. And if it still doesn't fix that, or if it gets worse, basically the way that you're gonna fix that is by throwing washers in between the bumper and the bracket. So if the gap is bigger here than here, you'll throw a washer here and here on the top bolt, and vice versa. If the gap is bigger here than that is back there, you'll throw a washer here and here, and that should fix your issue. And there we go guys, that looks much better. As you can see, it's way more even from front to back. It's nice and solid. And I ended up just putting 2 washers on this side. As you can see, the bolt is still out on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in, get everything else nice and tight, and we'll be done. Okay guys, and we are done. We have all our bolts installed, everything's tight. Our gaps look really good, and I'm really happy with the install. I know that most of you had already seen it. I know it's nothing new, but I wanted to show you guys how to install the brackets, because I never actually made a how-to video on my own brackets. And like I said, I wanted to have it out there for you guys in case some of you do want to purchase a set of them. Again, I designed them. I didn't make these personally. Like I said, I had to get another guy locally to make them for me on a CNC plasma table. But like I said, I had a bunch of you guys asking about these, and honestly right now I'm not gonna have that many. I only have 2 sets, but if you guys ask me for more, I will make more. You know, like luckily I found this guy. He's reasonable on his price, he makes good work, and I don't mind at all making more for you guys. Like I said, I want to keep this channel going. Like I said, it's expensive, and I'm doing a lot of things right now to try and keep the channel going, and that's gonna include, like I said, those brackets, shirts, stickers, and hopefully a bunch of other things. I'm really excited. But anyways, back to the video. Now, I know that I'm gonna get asked a whole bunch of questions, and the best thing that honestly you can do is to check out the original video, which I'll post over here, which was of me originally installing this bumper, and that'll show you what I had to do to trim the frame, trim other parts of the truck, the bumper, because like I said, you do have to trim a whole bunch of things. Like right now, it was easy for me because this bumper was already installed in my truck. But like I said, I actually have one of my most popular videos is of this actual install, and I filmed it like a year ago, I think, a year and a half, and it was actually the first 2017 plus bumper install on YouTube, as well as my 08 bumper install was the first on YouTube. But anyways, I keep getting distracted. Let me go back to the video and finish this out, because it's already way longer than I wanted it to be. So yes, you have to trim the bumper. You have to trim front of the truck, kind of like right over here behind the bumper. so that it sits flush. Now, depending on your wheel and tire setup, you will also most likely have to trim your bumper. Like, unless you're running like a super high lift, you're most likely gonna have to trim the bumper. On mine, I trimmed it right here. So this thing used to come out kind of like this. So I trimmed that much, and then I trimmed it all the way back in here, and then I cut part of the fog lights. So it was quite a bit of trimming. It's actually even more trimming than an 08 bumper to make it fit. Other questions, my LED fog lights, my fog lights, yes, they work. I installed an aftermarket wiring harness for like LED lights. The only difference is I looked for one that already had the plug. Now, if you can't find one that already has the plug, what you can do is cut off and install your own plugs to make it work with the Super Duty fog lights. Let's see what else. Oh, one thing that I want to mention too is whenever you're installing your bolts, you want to make sure that there's washers on both sides of the bolt. So by the head and on the nut side. And that's because every hole it's slotted to give you the most adjustment possible that you can have out of it. So you want to make sure that you use washers on both sides. I can't really think of anything else. Like I said, check out the original install. That'll show you a lot more detail about what it takes to actually install it. Like all the trimming, all that stuff that you got to do. But yeah, for now, that's basically gonna be it though for this video. Really appreciate you guys sticking around, watching the install. I really appreciate everyone that has already purchased a bracket, and I hope you know that if you're thinking about installing this bumper, that I showed you that it's not that hard to install it, and hopefully you consider buying some brackets, because like I said, it really helps out the channel. And basically everything that goes out of those is gonna go back into the truck and into the channel. Also, check out the rest of my videos on my channel and subscribe. And if you have any questions about the bumpers or anything like that, make sure to send me an email. That's where you can get a hold of me for them right now. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.